Today, we'll debate should we go back to the gold standard with Victor, a libertarian, and Sophia, a Keynesian. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
All right, let's see if Victor can do this with a bit of wit. Hey there, Victor. If you've ever wanted to see someone break into hives at the mere thought of a money printer going brrr, congratulations, you found your man. My blood type is AU, as in Austrian economics, and my spirit animal is a gold bar stacked safely in a Swiss vault when I'm not stockpiling limited edition coins or rolling my eyes at trillion-dollar deficits. You'll find me arguing that government spending should be as tightly controlled as my grandma's cookie jar. Call me old-fashioned, but I like my money the way I like my coffee. Strong, reliable, and not subject to wild fluctuations because some bureaucrat had a bright idea before breakfast. So, let's dig into this whole gold standard debate before someone prints another trillion.
Oh, hello, I'm Sophia, policy nerd, coffee enthusiast, and proud survivor of about 16 theoretical depressions. And thanks, simulations. If Victor's spirit animal is a gold bar, I guess mine's the magical, self-replenishing cup of government coffee that gets stronger in every crisis. I believe money should work for people, not just lounge around in a vault like a lazy dragon-hoarding treasure. When markets wobble and recessions loom, I'm the one yelling, push the Keynesian button, and firing up fiscal stimulus. Listen, history's shown me that a flexible currency lets us fight unemployment and invest in stuff people actually need, like healthcare, jobs, and better internet, so I don't freeze on policy Zoom calls. So let's get this debate going, and may the best worldview stimulate the economy.
Thank you guys. Victor and Sophia will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
All right, Sophia, as much as I admire your Keynesian energy, almost as much as you love government coffee, I have to make the gold standards case, caffeinated and clear. Here's the deal. History shows us that anchoring our currency to gold protected regular folks from runaway inflation and crazy devaluations. Take the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Under the classical gold standard, prices were remarkably stable over decades. Sure, there were bumps, but $1 in 1900 bought just about as much in 1920, without a Federal Reserve playing DJ on the money supply. Compare that to what happened after Nixon took the U.S. off gold in 1971. Almost overnight, inflation shot up, the oil crisis kicked in, and our magically replenished dollars lost half their value in the 70s. Meanwhile, in countries like Weimar Germany or more recently Zimbabwe and Venezuela, printing money with no anchor at all turned savings into monopoly money and wiped out the middle class. The point is, a gold standard is nostalgic. It's insurance. It reins in politicians' wildest stimulus plans and keeps honest folks from paying the price for short-term fixes.
Victor, I love your nostalgia for bartering with shiny rocks, but let's talk reality. The gold standard ties the economy's hands just when it needs flexibility most. Look at the 1930s. While Victor's beloved gold standard was still in place, the Great Depression turned a bad recession into a global catastrophe. Countries stuck with gold couldn't print money or cut interest rates to help struggling families. It was like trying to put out a fire while refusing to use water because the rules say so. Only when FDR took the US off gold did recovery begin. Suddenly, we could create jobs, invest in roads, and give people hope, and yes, a paycheck. Or consider post-war Britain, desperate for economic revival, but gold shackles meant rationing stayed for years. And let's not forget, today's global economy is about instant transactions and digital innovation, not shipping tons of metal across oceans. The gold standard may sound disciplined, but in practice, it's as out of place as an abacus at a Bitcoin convention. In a world of shocks and crises, we need tools that work, not golden handcuffs.
All right, Sophia, I get it. You want the flexibility to sprinkle government dollars like confetti every time there's a cold in the economy. But let's not pretend fiat money is some magical Keynesian cure-all. Sure, leaving the gold standard let FDR spend more, but it also set the stage for politicians everywhere to treat the national budget like their own Amazon Prime card. Ooh, stimulus, ooh, bailout, ooh, let's pass out checks like Halloween candy. And surprise, the bill always comes due, with inflation devouring savings and hitting the middle class hardest. As for digital innovation, let's be honest. If gold's so out of date, why are central banks still hoarding it like Gollum? My precious, they know that at the end of the day, faith in fiat only works until people remember it's paper, backed by politicians, promises, and let's face it, those expire faster than student discounts. I'd rather have my currency anchored to something real than trust it to the whims of policymakers, no matter how many fancy spreadsheets or policy webinars they fire up.
Victor, it'll grant you the gold bugs do love their shiny insurance policies. But let's not kid ourselves. If tying currency to a rock solved everything, pirates would be running central banks. And the best economists would work for jewelry stores. You say governments are prone to splurging like kids with their parents' credit cards? Sure. But with a gold standard, it's like buying the world's best fire extinguisher and tossing it in a safe anytime smoke appears, just so we don't get reckless. Newsflash, economies aren't fragile snow globes. They're messy, unpredictable, and sometimes they need more than sit tight and hope the gold fairy sorts it out. And on inflation, let's remember, too much tight money also crushes the middle class. Ask anyone who tried to get a job during the 30s. I'll take some risk of inflation over never-ending unemployment, thank you very much. Central banks own gold the way some people keep a fruitcake from 1972. You don't eat it, just in case. But the real value? It's having the tools and, yes, the spreadsheets to fix things when life gets bumpy, not waiting for gold to save us while we all ration soup.
Sophia, I admire your optimism. I truly do. But saying the gold standard equals bartering with shiny rocks is like saying a seatbelt is just a fashion accessory. It's there for discipline, not decor. Yes, flexible money lets governments respond to crises, but let's be real. Too often, respond is code for panic, flood the markets with cash, and hope inflation quietly sneaks out the back door. That's like fixing a leaky roof by opening an umbrella indoors. Sure, it's immediate, but long-term you're still soaked. And about crushing the middle class? Let's talk modern times. Runaway inflation eats paychecks and savings alive. At least with gold, my kid's college fund doesn't turn into monopoly money before graduation. As for digital payments, we're not lugging around gold coins. The gold standard can peacefully coexist with Apple Pay. It just keeps the money behind the tap honest. So, in sum, gold keeps governments honest, protects regular folks from having their savings gutted, and offers boring but beautiful stability. Wouldn't we all prefer less economic drama and fewer government shopping sprees, now and then?
Victor, your nostalgia for gold is almost as endearing as your belief that politicians can resist spending sprees with a few bars in a vault. But let's not romanticize golden shackles. The gold standard is the financial equivalent of putting the economy on a seesaw. Sometimes you're stuck waiting for a shipment from South Africa, just so businesses can get a loan. That's discipline, all right. Discipline stagnation. Sure, inflation has its dangers, but so does strangling growth. It's a bit rich to claim the gold standard protects regular folks when those very folks were lining up for bread and jobs in the 30s, while gold sat looking pretty. As for honest money, I'll take transparency and smart central banking over the hope that scarce metal will keep politicians in line. It's like hiding cookies and hoping no one invents a ladder. Bottom line, the world's changed. Modern economies need flexibility, speed, and room to invest in people, not just precious metals. Let's keep our seatbelts. Just don't make them out of solid gold.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Victor and Sophia. Hi everyone, my name is Jamie, and I work as a small business owner right here in town. This has been a super lively debate, thanks to both Victor and Sophia. Victor, I've heard a lot from you about inflation and fiscal discipline, but I'm curious about something practical for people like me. Under a gold standard, how would you handle situations where there's a sudden increase in demand for loans or credit? Like a local building boom, or a surge in small business startups. With the money supply tied to gold, aren't there risks that banks wouldn't be able to lend enough? How would you stop credit from drying up and stalling local economies when things are actually going well?
Great question, Jamie. Thanks for bringing in the small business perspective. You're right. Under a gold standard, the money supply can't be expanded with a few keystrokes anytime there's excitement on Main Street. But here's the thing. The discipline isn't always a bad thing. It means banks have to make real, careful decisions about who gets credit, rather than just spraying cheap money around and risking bubbles, like we saw leading up to the 2008 financial crisis. Now, if there's a genuine need, say, your town really is booming, The gold standard doesn't mean nobody gets a loan. What often happens is more gold flows into the country as people want to invest in the strong economy, which grows the money supply naturally and sustainably. Yes, credit might be a little tighter at times, but it's also less likely to lead to the kind of reckless lending and painful busts we see in looser systems. In short, a gold standard keeps credit available for good, productive ideas, just without the risk of runaway lending and the hangover that always seems to follow. It's not about starving growth, it's about making sure the growth is built on something real.
Thanks for the answers, Victor. Sophia, I've got a question for you from the business side as well. You've emphasized how important flexibility is for managing the economy, but a lot of small business owners worry about uncertainty. If the government or central bank has the power to increase the money supply at any time, how do you make sure they don't overdo it and create so much uncertainty or inflation that it becomes hard for us to plan or commit to long-term investments? What kind of checks or accountability would you put in place to make sure flexibility doesn't become instability for businesses like mine?
Great question, Jamie, and I really appreciate you highlighting the uncertainty small businesses face. Flexibility only works if it's paired with responsibility. Otherwise, it's like having a steering wheel with no brakes. Modern central banks aren't supposed to just print money on a whim, despite what Victor imagines. Economists and policymakers set explicit targets for inflation, usually aiming to keep it low and predictable, like the 2% sweet spot. These targets are public, and central banks have to regularly explain their actions. If inflation gets out of hand, they raise interest rates to cool things off. Plus, policymakers are held accountable by the government, the markets, and the public. No one wants to see runaway prices or a currency crisis. It's not a perfect system, but history shows it lets us react fast during crises and manage growth while keeping inflation expectations anchored. And as a business owner, you can check the Federal Reserve's plans at any time. So, flexibility isn't a license for chaos. It's a tool, and the people managing it have every incentive to keep things stable for folks like you.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Well, Jamie, if I could turn back time, and not just the monetary clock, I'd probably have squeezed in a cheeky story about my childhood lemonade stand, where prices were always stable because my mom made me back every cup with her wedding ring. Maybe a step too far for home economics, but hey, discipline starts early. As for Sophia, I have to confess, her Pirates running central banks line almost made me drop my notepad. If gold really meant we all started wearing eye patches, I'd have signed up a long time ago. At least Pirates have a strict code and don't print treasure maps by the truckload.
Oh, Jamie, if only I'd had another minute, I would have shared my grandmother's wisdom. Never put your savings in something you can accidentally swallow. She always said gold is better for earrings than for running an economy. Though, admittedly, she never tested either theory. And Victor, I have to call you out for saying the gold standard could peacefully coexist with Apple Pay. I dare pay money, fiat money, to see someone try to tap a gold coin on a card reader at Starbucks. Maybe you get a free espresso shot, or maybe you'd spark an impromptu geology lecture. Either way, I'll stick to swiping my phone, not my bullion.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Victor's scores. 1. Evidence, AA, historical support, 8 out of 10. Victor consistently referenced concrete historical cases, such as the price stability under the classical gold standard, the inflationary era after 1971, and extreme instances like Weimar Germany and Zimbabwe. He demonstrated a strong grasp of historical causality, though at times his examples generalized complex economic dynamics and understated some of the gold standard's hardships. 2. Responsiveness, a rebuttal, 7 out of 10. Victor was quick to address Sophia's arguments about the Great Depression, inflation, and the need for flexibility, even doing so with humor and a light touch that kept the debate engaging. However, some rebuttals leaned on rhetorical flourish over substance, e.g., analogies about grandmother's cookie jars and references to pirates, which, while entertaining, occasionally missed deeper economic counterpoints. 3. Clarity A engagement, 9 out of 10. Victor delivered his points with clarity and witty commentary, maintaining audience interest throughout. His analogies, seatbelts, leaky roofs, and humor boosted his presence and made complex topics accessible. Occasionally, his snark overshadowed the nuance of his positions, but overall, he communicated his case effectively and memorably. Sophia's scores. 1. Evidence, real-world application. 9 out of 10. Sophia made strong use of pivotal events, the Great Depression, FDR's policy shift, post-war Britain, and the broader implications for growth and technological change. She also related her arguments directly to modern issues, digital payments, small business needs, creating relatable and timely advocacy for her position. 2. Responsiveness. Rebuttal, 8 out of 10. Sophia responded directly to Victor's points about discipline and inflation, using humor to underline flaws in the gold standard argument, pirates running central banks in golden handcuffs. Occasionally, she could have further engaged with the specifics of Victor's historical claims or provided more data, but her approach balanced refutation with engagement. Number 3, clarity, engagement. 10 out of 10. Sophia excelled at making her arguments approachable and lively, blending sharp wit with clear analogies, fruitcakes, fire extinguishers in a safe, and concise explanations about economic tools. Her answers to audience questions were both informative and reassuring, especially for lay listeners, and she maintained an inclusive, relatable tone throughout.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning.